tacos!
Mayday! 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 The restaurants are opening! With special guests, Kajir Yar
and Mark Wilson,
Libby Billings, and Deborah Wimpy. A special appearance by Bella, with musical director Nathan Wright. Get ready for your host.
Food. One of the most enjoyable things that we can do as human beings is eat good food. Food that tastes good and encourages us to try new things, and food that satisfies our craving like nothing else. Well, that's debatable, but you know what I mean. Now put that good food in the setting of a good restaurant. What's better than that? And Tulsa has so many good restaurants. That enjoyable experience of walking into a warm, dimly lit space, being seated at your favorite table, choosing the best dishes on a menu, having someone else cook for you, and then having someone else clean it up for you, well, it's an absolute luxury. One that us modern humans took for granted until recently. Oh, how I miss my favorite restaurants in Tulsa, bars, and my friends that are servers. You know, I was a server at Tucci's when I was 13. Hi, Doris. So, to all of the service industry friends out there, I'm gonna cheers for you. We miss you. There is a hole in our hearts and a hole in our city without you. So this one is for you, restaurants, servers, and bartenders. I'll drink to that. It's a nice kava. Anyway. Speaking of celebration, today is May 1st, or May Day. And this brings me back to when I was in New York City in Lower Manhattan for Occupy Wall Street. You remember 2008, Occupy Wall Street? Oh yeah, that was a major shutdown too.
I'm Anna Berry for NewJersey.org here in the heart of Union Square, where the marchers have just started the march to Wall Street. It's May Day, it's May 1st, and everyone's here in solidarity. So far, it's been a great crowd, tons of people, live music, all different types of demonstrations, and what I'm always going for is the positivity and the action. We've got some good interviews, so stay tuned for that, and let's march.
Remember that fiasco? A lot of angry people feeling gypped by the government. And that 1%, well, not much has changed in this past decade. We're still getting gypped.
And you cannot have social justice when a tiny profit-sucking minority runs everything in its own interest.
And I'm sure y'all can't forget where May Day actually started. It's that ancient pagan fertility festival with the maypole. Are kids still circling around a maypole at schools these days? But for most of the world, May 1st is known as International Workers' Day, otherwise known as Labor Day. And this is very serendipitous this year because it's also the day Oklahoma will start rolling back COVID-19 restrictions for many businesses, including movie theaters, sporting venues, gyms, and restaurants. But are our favorite restaurants going to open up? Some might not. This leads us to the main topic of our episode, because today, after over a month of forced closures, our state governor is lifting the restrictions for many service industries.
Governor, I've got about a minute left. Mayors say that you're pitting cities against each other. In fact, one of them called it Oklahoma's version of the Hunger Games.
Well, you know, I've got a great relationship with the mayors across the state, and these are tough decisions, and I know they're concerned about their citizens as well. I'm putting guidance for the whole state because, as you know, but I've never been heavy-handed with the mayors in different locations. I've let them make decisions based on their communities. But I'm thinking about all 4 million Oklahomans. I'm giving guidance. If a restaurant doesn't feel like they're ready to reopen, they don't have to.
To dine or not to dine? That is the question. There are mixed feelings about this. On one hand, thousands of people in Tulsa are struggling to survive without their tip-based economies. On the other hand, some people are still worried about COVID-19 and the spread. Here is what our mayor has to say.
I would like to follow the guidance that the White House issued last week that said that we should have 14 days of declining cases in a community before you start rolling things back. But again, the reality is Tulsa does not exist on an island. We are surrounded by the state of Oklahoma. We're part of the state of Oklahoma, and the state of Oklahoma and communities all around us are starting to relax their social distancing practices today. And so I can't ask people that work at a restaurant in Tulsa to remain unemployed while we try and pursue a 14-day decrease, while restaurant employees in every community around us and for 100 miles around us are getting to go to work and contracting viruses and bringing them to our community.
And even our local restaurateurs are having mixed feelings about that, but we'll get to that later in the show. First, let's welcome Broken Arrow Councilwoman, Deborah Wimpy. Welcome, Deborah.
Thanks for having me, you guys.
All right, so you are the host for BA Buzz and the City Councilwoman for Broken Arrow. I would love to know what the buzz is like in Broken Arrow when it comes to this reopening, which is happening today.
Yeah, so I think people are thinking that because we followed the governor's recommendations and allowed salons and certain businesses to open on the 24th, that it was going to be, a free-for-all.
The Hunger Games.
Back to normal, like life as we knew it before COVID hit us, and that is not the case. There are plenty of salons that didn't open because they were not ready, and that's going to be the same thing with the restaurants. Even though the restaurants are going to be able to open on May 1st, like fully open for dine-in, not just curbside, a lot of them are having to figure out what does that look like. Do we take out half our tables or block off half our tables? But they are definitely excited, and it is the buzz in Broken Arrow right now that that people are ready to get out and shop, but safely. We need them to be still social distancing and still doing everything by CDC guidelines. So,
are Broken Arrow people going to be wearing masks? How do they feel about that when they go into restaurants or servers wearing masks? Is that protocol?
Well, we had some calls today, and actually it was kind of half and half on the restaurants that were talking to us. They were obviously like their kitchen staff was going to wear masks, and there were some that were saying they'll have their staff wear a mask, but they will ask that people coming, like customers coming in, would wear a mask, but they're not requiring it of them necessarily. Okay. They're not going to turn them away.
Right on. Well, do you have reservations for Friday night? Are you going out?
We haven't even discussed it. There's so much to talk about. I'm like, yeah, there's so many lists of places that you want to go to or eat at.
Right.
So
well,
that's a great question.
Well, I really appreciate you joining us on Unscripted, and wishing you all in Broken Arrow stay safe and have a happy reopening.
Thank you so much.
All right, nice to
you
see you.
Too.
Thanks.
You too. Bye-bye.
Well, one thing that's definitely not up for debate, we have a new fashion accessory, the face mask. Oh yeah. Many local Tulsans are already sporting their favorite face masks out on the streets. So therefore, we have started a challenge, the Great Tulsa Face Mask Challenge. So whether you're on the front lines or you're going to the grocery store or dining in a restaurant, we want to see you in your favorite face mask. So post a picture, we'll share it on Scripted. Make sure you tag Tulsa Face Mask Challenge. All right, well, it's definitely not my favorite accessory. I prefer lashes and lipstick, but hey, it's the new normal, and I'm wearing this to protect you.
Hey everybody, hope you are doing well. Just want to give a shout out and let you know we are changing things up a little bit around here. So those same Friday eggs that you would normally get here on Fridays, you will be getting those same Friday eggs on Tuesdays instead. So Tuesday's a new Friday. Come and get your Friday eggs on Tuesdays instead.
We have Kajir Yar and Mark Wilson with Lefties on Greenwood. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thanks, Anna. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Anna. We appreciate it.
All right, so you guys have stayed open through this shutdown. It's been about a month. Tell me a little bit about why you decided to stay open and what it was like for you guys keeping all of your employees employed during this very challenging time.
First, we wanted to come up with a plan where we didn't have to furlough any of our staff, and we quickly determined that it was going to be very difficult to do so without supplementing what was going to probably be curbside and delivery. And so Brian and I quickly worked to obtain funding through a grant from the Hilly Foundation, and we worked with one of our biggest food vendors, US Foods, to be able to secure food at cost, to then provide meals on a daily basis to those in the community that were in need. Really, it wouldn't have worked if our staff hadn't agreed to all be paid minimum wage.
Right. Oh, that's beautiful. I have performed there, and it is like a family. I walk in, it's to see Thomas and everyone. This is a heartwarming story, and you've hit a milestone. You have served over 12,000 meals to people in need the past few weeks. Tell me a little bit about that process. It started with people showing up to pick up and take it home, and then you had to change that because of social distancing. Tell me a little bit about what that's been like, and tell me who's showing up for these meals.
Our first outreach to the community began on Friday, March 20th. And we served 100 lunches that afternoon, and they were gone immediately. Whoever needed a meal, we weren't going to say no, especially to our young people. No questions asked.
And to be clear, the meals were, we were preparing these, from scratch every day, and a lot of the items that we were putting out there were menu items from Lefties, and so it was really important for us to make sure that our patrons, and that's what we call everyone who uses any of our services, were treated the same way, as if they were sitting at the bar and ordering a drink from Thomas.
Right on. Driving through the streets and seeing, how most people had to stay home, it definitely made me aware of the amount of homeless people or people out there who are on the streets. I don't know what their situation is like, but it definitely made them shine, made me see more of them and notice more of them. So what a blessing that you got to serve so many people, no questions asked, delicious food. What's next when it comes to reopening Lefties on Greenwood?
As far as a restaurant, we will do our very best to adhere to whatever guidelines are set forth, and I think as an ownership group, we'll discuss it internally, but I don't think we'll open until we feel like our staff has the protection that they need, and then our patrons. So we definitely want to get smiling faces back in the restaurant, but we want to do so safely, and we appreciate that. Their hospitality is not the only industry that's been affected by the pandemic, and we want to make sure that when we go back, we can go back as safe as we can.
Yeah.
I applaud you and your efforts. You've made a huge impact in our community, like you said, reaching out to all the different parts of Tulsa and the metropolitan area. So congratulations, thank you, may your work continue, and I do hope for a safe reopening of Lefties whenever you choose, and especially bringing that music back. Thank you guys for joining me on Unscripted. Next, I'll be speaking with another person out there who's making a big impact in our community when it comes to the food that we know and love. We've got Libby Billings, owner of The Vault, Ronpangi, and Elote. And we'll be talking about the work she's doing out there in the different communities, plus delivering her delicious puppy tacos. Thanks for joining us, Libby.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, so it's been about 7-ish weeks when all of this started, and you were one of the first people to basically call out our state officials, Governor Stitt, online to tell him to, hey, watch what's going on and take care of our people, especially you, your employees, and your customers. Tell me what you did and why you did it.
I just made a Facebook post asking for Mayor Bynum and or Governor Stitt to shut down restaurants except for to-go orders, because I had seen that was something that was happening in other states that was basically keeping people safe. It wasn't necessarily easy to make that decision, but I had to make that decision for my staff alone. But it was kind of like we were negatively impacting just my staff and my restaurants by only us shutting down, and it's sort of a drop in the bucket and, flattening the curve. It was really going to have to be on a larger scale. So while I wanted to do that for my staff, I felt like, and for my customers, I felt like that needed to be done for, the entire city, the entire state, in order for it to actually make an impact and to flatten the curve. So we, voluntarily closed the restaurants the next day, and then the stay-at-home was put in place, I think, 2 or 3 days later. So I wasn't too far ahead of the curve, but I had like a little bit more information. I think a lot of people did, because I have family in LA who was, already having this experience and kind of advising me, saying you need to be thinking, about how you're going to handle this moving forward. And so, so that's what we did.
Well, it is interesting because I, lived in New York for a long time and have friends in New York and LA too, and they were doing the same thing. They were warning. They're saying, you just wait. You're about 2 weeks behind us. So you were right on with that. Did any of those officials respond to that Facebook post or respond to you personally? No. But they took action, or at least our mayor did. All right. Yes. So tell me about that. When the Safer at Home order came into place, you as a restaurant owner of 3 thriving businesses, what happened to you guys as a community? How did you handle that?
For me, on a personal level, I opted to close the vault because it is really the major part of its business is about like gatherings of people, private parties, etc. Elote and Roppongi stayed open for to-go for about a week. And honestly, we just weren't we didn't know how important face masks were or gloves or social distancing. Like, this was all kind of new. And so I didn't really feel like we had the safest practices in place yet. We had customers that would come in and sit in the restaurant, and wait for their to-go orders. And it just didn't seem right. So one day, a woman paid me with bra money, and I was like, no, it's too far. Like, how is this safe? Even if I'm doing to-go orders, how is this safe? So
wait, what do you mean bra money?
She took money out of her bra and paid me with it, and I just was like, no. So, now we wear masks at all times. We wear gloves at all times. We keep a distance from our guests when they do come. We have them pick up their food outside on a table. We're taking orders over the phone and having people pay over the phone. So just kind of figuring out a way to limit our contact with people even more, because there still is a little contact if you're putting food in someone's car, but that doesn't mean that they need to be signing a credit card receipt, touching our pens, touching our clipboards, etc. So sort of figured out how to navigate that, and really we do feel a lot safer.
Well, that's comforting to know. Thank you for that. Now, you've been serving the Kendall Whittier community. Tell me a little bit about what you've been doing over there.
Okay, so essentially in regards to Kendall Whittier, what happened was a couple reached out to me, Amy and Kevin King, and wanted to support Elote because of the positive environmental practices that we have and because we are such an important part of the vegan community, which they are a part of. And so they wanted to basically give money to Elote to create food to give to families in need. They weren't entirely sure how they could go about doing that, but they sort of said, Libby, here's a dollar amount, make it happen. So I reached out to the folks at Growing Together, who serve the Kendall Whittier neighborhood, and they essentially are finding families in need through their Community and Schools project. And so they're finding families in need, and then I cook the food, or my crew cooks the food, we deliver it, and then they distribute it to make sure it gets to the right families. So their money was able to feed 10 families 2 weeks in a row, 2 meals each. So for a family of 4, so 8 meals total. And so then my friend Taylor Painter-Wolf, who's an artist in town, heard about this and has started selling her artwork and giving the commission that she would have normally given to a gallery straight to Growing Together as well. So that got to carry the program on for another week. And now they've actually opened it up. You can go on my elotetulsa.com and you can click on the link Food for Families and you can pledge money as well. So essentially $25 will provide a meal for a family of 4, an elote style meal. So I know that there's other opportunities out there like through the food bank and whatnot where you can provide meals for significantly less, but how this is working is it's supporting Growing Together, it's supporting these families, and it's also supporting elote. So it's a nice kind of win-win for all.
So you're doing that. That's happening. What's next?
For now, we're gonna stay closed. We're gonna just stay open for our delivery and our carryout service Monday through Saturday from 11 a.m. to 9 p.m. at Elote and Roppongi. The vault, again, because it's such a space that focuses on private parties and gatherings of people, we're gonna stay closed for a little while and still do our Tulsa Kitchens Unite work.
Well, I respect that. I respect that. That's really wise, and thank you for putting your employees and your customers first while still delivering your amazing food to people in need and people in absolute desire, because it's really great food, and I love that you have sustainability and vegan options as well. So bravo to you, Libby. Always a great time talking with you, and you're definitely a leader here, and we're definitely going to support you in any ways that we can. You've got all the links on here to follow you. So thank you for joining us on Unscripted.
Thank you for having me, and stay safe.
Cue the tornado sirens.
The hunger pain.
So regardless of whether you choose to eat out or stay in for a little bit longer, always try to support local businesses by buying local, especially when it comes to desserts. I recently celebrated my birthday last week. Happy COVID birthday to me. It's a strange time to have a birthday, but regardless, we had some delicious desserts brought to you by some amazing local restaurants, and we want to thank you for all of that. That pâte de crème was divine. All right, cheers to you all. Bella, let's go to the basement. Oh, shoot. Thanks for watching Unscripted.
This episode is brought to you by desserts. Local desserts. Lots of local desserts. Mmm. Mmm.
You gotta give it to me, girl.
Big bite. Oh, wait. You want this last bite?
Hyper! Come on!
My turn.
No! Don't get it! No!
Oh man, that one's good. Thank you so much to all these wonderful food sponsors. These desserts are delicious. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 amazing dessert sponsors. Thank you so much for making my birthday special. Definitely, when you are choosing your desserts in Tulsa, make sure you choose local. Here's some great options for you. Did you like it?
Yeah, it's your turn, by the way.
My turn. Okay. Think cinnamon roll, pâte de crème.
Where is your turn?
What do I do with my plants?
Plants are fine. They're just going to be weathered. You just, if you've got something of special, I hear all that. Are you on the front porch?
Yeah, I am.
I hear it.
Okay. Should I go to the basement? My basement sucks.
No, stay in the hallway where your closet is.
Okay.
Where you can go close the door to the bathroom and to Bella's room and
Okay.
your room. And if you have a little radio or your phone,
Okay.
Go to KRMG. They will have live weather updates.
Okay.
Okay, and you keep me posted.
Okay.
All right?
Love you.
I love you.
Okay, bye.